Rasheed Wallace and Carmelo Anthony didn't just speak as retired NBA veterans, they spoke as insiders who'd seen too much. Both men, years before this scandal broke, warned that the NBA wasn't just a sports league, it was a monitored system operating under federal-level oversight. Carmelo Anthony famously revealed that former Commissioner David Stern confronted him behind closed doors, telling him to choose between the streets or the NBA, while hinting that the league knew everything about his life, where he lived, who he talked to, even when he went to sleep. That level of surveillance, Melo claimed, showed the NBA was working hand in hand with federal authorities. Rasheed Wallace backed that up, saying he'd learned to stop arguing with referees and instead hit them with logic, because he knew about the internal emails that dictated which players would get favorable or unfavorable calls. These weren't conspiracy theories from outsiders, they were confessions from men who lived the game from the inside out. Now, as Chauncey Billups and Rozier face federal charges for alleged gambling ties and organized crime links, those old warnings sound prophetic. The NBA's federal connection is no longer a rumor. It's part of a growing narrative about control, corruption, and manipulation within professional basketball. NBA referee scandals are now dominating search results as fans question how deep this really goes. Carmelo Anthony's story paints a chilling picture of how deep the NBA's surveillance network really runs. In a private meeting with Commissioner David Stern, Melo was told point blank to choose between the streets or the NBA. Stern allegedly made it clear that the league knew everything, where Melo lived, who he associated with, when he woke up, even what his friends were doing. It wasn't just league oversight, it sounded like FBI-level monitoring, suggesting the NBA had deep ties with federal authorities. Carmelo's experience hinted that players were being tracked not just for conduct, but to maintain control. Control that may now be at the center of the league's integrity crisis. The same video dives into disturbing new claims of game manipulation tied to organized crime. Reports mention mafia-linked gambling operations using X-ray glasses and rigged shuffling machines to fix outcomes in high-stakes games involving players and coaches. These devices allegedly allowed insiders to tilt odds in favor of specific bets, while the public watched games they thought were clean. The connection between organized crime, professional athletes, and NBA officials forms a web that fans can't ignore, as names like Chauncey Billups, Rozier, Scott Foster, and Tim Donaghy continue to surface. The public's trust in basketball is cracking. Referee corruption has haunted the NBA for decades, but the connection between veteran official Scott Foster and disgraced referee Tim Donaghy is now impossible to ignore. Both men entered the league in 1994 and built a long, suspicious friendship that overlapped directly with the height of the NBA's original betting scandal. Investigators found that during the most critical years, Foster and Donaghy exchanged an astounding 134 phone calls, many of them just minutes before or after games that Donaghy later admitted were manipulated for gambling purposes. The question now burning through the NBA community is simple. Was Foster just a friend, or was he part of the operation? Fans have long noticed patterns. Games officiated by Foster where certain teams, especially Chris Paul's, consistently lost, sparking decades of conspiracy chatter that may finally have real weight behind it. Former Mafia figure Michael Franzese, once a high-ranking member of the Colombo crime family, has now confirmed that multiple NBA and NCAA referees were on the mob's payroll. According to Franzese, Donaghy wasn't alone. There were others helping manipulate outcomes to protect massive underground bets. These revelations are shaking the foundation of basketball, where every whistle could represent more than just a call. It could represent a payoff. Operation Nothing But Bet has officially blown the lid off one of the biggest integrity scandals in modern sports history. Federal prosecutors allege that a nationwide criminal network made up of NBA players, insiders, and organized crime figures used private information to manipulate prop bets. The operation allegedly targeted unders on points, rebounds, and assists, with players intentionally underperforming or exiting games early to guarantee payouts. These weren't small-time wagers. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars placed through major sports betting platforms using insider knowledge that the public never had access to. This is the kind of scheme that rewrites the definition of game fixing in the digital betting era. At the center of this storm is Terry Rozier, now under federal investigation for allegedly faking an injury during a March 2023 Charlotte Hornets game. Prosecutors claim Rozier's associates placed over $200,000 on his unders, knowing in advance he would leave the game within minutes. He reportedly exited after just 9 minutes of play. Those bets cashed in, and investigators later found the profits, tens of thousands of dollars in cash, counted at his home. This isn't just about one player, it's about an entire system that may have been compromised. The NBA gambling scandal now appears far deeper than anyone imagined. What began as a few rogue players like Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups facing federal charges has evolved into what insiders are calling a full-scale NBA conspiracy. The host suggests that the corruption may stretch beyond athletes to team trainers, doctors, assistant coaches, and even front office executives. Why? Because every NBA injury report, every medical update, and every rest decision directly affects sports betting lines and prop wagers. If insiders are leaking or manipulating that information, the entire betting ecosystem becomes compromised. The FBI investigation reportedly includes analysis of team communication logs and internal medical data, raising questions about just how many people within the league may have profited from these rigged outcomes. As Operation Nothing But Bet expands, the league faces an integrity crisis unlike anything since the Tim Donaghy referee scandal. The public is losing faith that NBA games are real competitions rather than scripted events influenced by organized crime and sports betting syndicates. If the league doesn't act fast, sweeping through its ranks and exposing the higher-ups involved, it risks being seen not as entertainment, but as manipulation in motion. Fans are now questioning whether the NBA is rigged, whether referees are compromised, and whether Vegas odds have replaced fair play. This isn't just a scandal, it's a reckoning for basketball's soul. If the NBA doesn't clean house soon, trust in professional sports could collapse entirely. If you've been following Hoop Lockdown, you know we don't sugarcoat the truth. We expose it. If you want the real stories the mainstream sports media is too scared to touch, hit subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join the movement that's changing how fans see the game. Drop a comment with what you think the NBA is hiding, and let's see how deep this rabbit hole really goes. The more likes this video gets, the harder it hits the algorithm, and the faster the truth spreads. Welcome to Hoop Lockdown, where basketball meets reality.